There are also interesting events in Russia. Those who accuse me of Russophobia, if there is something brilliant, genuine, magnificent in Russia, I will immediately mention it and not remain silent. Well, it's clear that to cast great historical figures always requires a very high political temperature. And to date, judging by one sign, it already exists in Russia. It is not yet felt by the common people. It is not yet felt by the propaganda, the Kremlin, but it is there. This Putin's hyena, which raises the degree of lawlessness every day, raises the degree of dictatorship, meanness. It tried to scorch everything, still alive in the country with this wild temperature. And of course, it tried undoubtedly to destroy, to burn out the remnants of dignity and reason in the population. But from this inquisitorial Putin's flame, suddenly and unexpectedly emerged such a monumental, true hero, impeccable hero, Russian, Alexander Skobov. Going blind, or perhaps already blind in Putin's prison, a Sikh, very elderly man, tormented, tortured by Putin's thugs in uniform. In judicial robes, he today presented a model of courage and wisdom, one that is worthy of Tacitus's annals. He did not bow out even a millimeter before the crushing, oppressive, or rather punitive system, and entered history likely as a standard of courtroom behavior. He gave everyone a lesson on how and in what terms one should communicate with Putin's regime. He said at his trial, "Here I am the one accusing, and you admit your guilt in being accomplices to Putin's crimes. Do you repent for your complicity?" he addressed the judges and prosecutors. Well, during the process, throughout the entire trial, Skobov demonstratively refused to communicate with the court, labeling it as a court of Nazi scum and the judges as servants of the Nazi dictatorship. And when the verdict was announced to him, they asked if the verdict was clear to him. He responded with "Glory to Ukraine." The sentence for Alexander Skobov was announced as 16 years of strict regime. In that, yes, of course, probably secretly, he has inspired many people today to fight. He inspired with his calmness, composure, and excellent journalism, and by setting a standard of behavior and bravery. And of course, the judge who read this sentence was freezing with fear. And he understood perfectly well, the judge, that in front of him was not a criminal, but a martyr. Moreover, a martyr who is 100% right. Among other things, Skobov today demonstrated the measure of a person, of what a person can be. Considering that Skobov is neither an alien nor a mutant nor any kind of unique specimen, he merely reminded Russia and the world of the true stature of a person, of what a person can be and what they should be, with the presence of intellect, dignity, and courage. Well, you know that in Russia there are many millions of people who have voluntarily reduced themselves to the size of lice. And Skobov demonstrates the height in comparison to which the minuscule stature of various Bastrykins, Putin, Yarovs, Milonovs, Volodins, and other evil spirits. In comparison to this simple man, with Skobov, They all look like some kind of microorganisms. Well, I can say that, of course, seeing the true size of the country's top leaders is always very useful. And it's even hard to imagine who must one be to submit to a louse and be frightened by the movement of its little legs. It should be noted that having one Skobov, of course, doesn't solve anything. But at least we saw how at his feet, in his souls, all these were scurrying around. Executioners, bar judges are all operatives. And it became clear how today, how shameful it is not to receive a sentence under a political article, or not to flee from Russia. The absence of a political conviction will be such, I would say, a disgraceful certificate, solemnly confirming that its owner is a complete scoundrel. Probably, if a person has any serious plans for the future, then they better hurry, because after Putin's death, achieving even some kind of political charge will be very, very difficult. They can only be obtained for huge sums of money by bribing the court.